All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to FreeChinaPost, episode 42. It's been a little bit, but it hasn't been the same amount of time since between 39 and 41. So,
I'm pretty sure it's been a month at least.
has it? I thought it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been forever, man. It's been forever.
It's too long. The summer garbage, man. Our schedules are far too different.
Schools.
Out for
Oh, that's copyrighted.
Oh, that's alright.
Just kidding.
We'll just get a MIDI track to put under it so it doesn't sound so
A
bad.
MIDI track. I'll play it on my. Oh, I was gonna tell. Okay, never mind.
All right, man.
Say inappropriate things.
There's so much to talk about. Should we? Should we?
What do you want to talk about first, Jordan? Just throw it out there.
You want to either dim debates or Hong Kong?
Dem debates done.
Dim debates done. What do you mean? Dim debates. Dim debates. All right, let's talk about dim debates.
Well, they're finished.
They are. Well, I mean, the second one is finished. It was. I thought the first night was all right. It was not too bad. It was kind of like, basically, again, Marianne Williamson just slaughtered. She's so good.
She's weird.
No, I don't. Nah. She's weird.
She's
Yeah.
not Bird.
She's strange. She's a strange specimen. But basically, it was like the Bernie Sanders Elizabeth Warren like steel cage match show where they just destroyed everyone. I thought they teamed up pretty well.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean that.
There was some. It was annoying, as most debates are, because it's sound bites. But there's some good, especially one-liners from those two. Like Bernie's.
I have to say this was much better than MSNBC.
Yeah, I agree. There was none of that. Raise your hand if you are for deregulating the medical industry so illegal aliens can raise their hand to go to the emergency room sometimes by the... It's like, oh, so annoying. Like, don't explain your position at all. Just raise your hand, and then you can cop out later, like Cop Mala, who was like, yes, I'd give up my health. Like, I'd give up private healthcare, and then later she was like, oh, I misunderstood the question. Actually, I'm like not really in favor of all that, but like kind of in favor, but like my position is really complicated and I don't really know what I want. It's just annoying. But yeah, I thought it was better, and there was some good one-liners, like Bernie's I wrote the damn bill line was really good, and Elizabeth Warren calling, I forget if it was Tim Ryan or John Delaney or one of those other amorphous like amoeba like figures, just old men that like doesn't really have any good policies. But she was like, when she was like, I don't know why anyone like runs for president to tell us what we can't do. Like, that was a pretty good line. I think it was against Delaney or Ryan or Hickenlooper, one of those guys. So some good lines. I felt like Bernie came out really strong, so that made me happy, and everyone else just kind of looked really milquetoast and boring. And the second night was the let's watch Joe Biden's brain run out his ears night, where he basically is like, we're literally watching him like go through the early stages of dementia. He's like, go to Biden 303869. It's just like, oh, this is so sad.
He's really not like he's not a bad debater, but he definitely like you can tell he's not at his sharpest when he just like is in the middle of a sentence. He's going through all these rhetorical points, and then he's just like, and that's all.
Yeah. And whenever
he says.
His time is up, he's just like,
my time's up.
My time's up. Yeah. So yeah, he is. I'll agree with you, especially like, past debates. He's looked pretty good. Not in this cycle, but in previous cycles, I thought he looked pretty good. But
he's way better than most of the people on that stage.
It's true. I thought Tulsi did pretty well.
I forgot about her, honestly. She's so forgettable, man.
She's pretty forgettable, but she's
always just like, I mean, it's kind of like typical with anyone who served in the military. They just like being young, they just kind of throw it out there every 5 minutes until the point we forget about it, and we are actually annoyed by it more than we respect them for it.
Like Booty Judge.
I'm the youngest person on the stage. I've served in the military.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, we got it. You killed.
We know.
We killed civilians in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's great.
I wouldn't. I'm not gonna certify that statement.
I'm being a little over, but No, I mean, yeah, it gets tedious at some point. It's like, okay, yeah, that's
We get it. You're young.
definitely a thing. You're young and you're a veteran.
We get it. You're a virgin. Okay.
But it was kind of annoying. I will say that I give, as much as I hate to say it, give Buttigieg a little bit of props for saying like age doesn't matter, because
Yeah. Well, what is he gonna say? Yeah, fuck these old men. Pick me. Like he knows that looks bad if he attacks people for that, because nobody likes this identity shit. And for the Democratic Party, the one so utterly focused on identity politics, to start pulling out age, an identity politics like modifier, a variable here, that's ridiculous. Like, how dare they?
Yeah, it's true. It's the thing is it's not really the Democratic Party. It's
MSNBC was like running
exactly,
on this.
but that's not the Democratic Party. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
but this
they're kind of
represents
the
like yeah.
I know what you're saying. They're like kind of the mouthpiece. But man, Jake Tapper, by the way, not his porn star name, but could be, is just the questions were awful, man. It's just like the framing was terrible.
I like Jake Tapper. He didn't write the questions himself.
Fair enough, but I mean, I feel like he should have some sort of input. Maybe he doesn't have any input at all, but that goes to the fact that those people get paid millions of dollars a year just to be stenographers for the rich and powerful. It's disgusting. So, but almost every one of those questions, especially the ones pointed to Bernie and Warren, were just horribly framed. Oh, are you in favor of raising taxes on the middle class? Like, it's like, you're totally like misrepresenting the argument. It's like
I partially disagree, because I think these are topics that are used against Bernie, and I think it gave him a chance to explain it, actually, if anything.
Yeah, but you could frame that a lot more generously. You could be like, "Oh, so Bernie, you've said that, you know,
he doesn't need to. I mean, it's not his job to frame it. It's Bernie's job to defend it, because it's going to be his job to defend it to the American people when Donald Trump attacks him on it.
It's true, but you can frame it. If you want to say that you're a neutral party, you can frame it less in a right wing way, at least.
I mean, I don't think he's framing it in a right wing way. He's framing it from like a devil's advocate perspective, from like
I guess, but
worst
they don't
possible view.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I guess, I mean, I can agree with that argument, but they don't do that for all the candidates. It seems like they only do that for the populist left candidates, the far left.
I think it's because Bernie is basically one of the two front runners. So just like Biden, the questions were hard on Biden too, by the way.
That's true. That is true.
I feel like they just not attacking, but they're going extra hard on the front runners. And I think that
you might be right about that.
I love Bernie, but it's fair game, and he's got to. He's got to be able to defend himself. He doesn't need us to protect him.
That's true. I'm not saying
he's a big great grandfather.
He's dad. Dad is doing well. I mean, like I said though, like it's not the biggest thing in the world, because I think he did really well. I think he definitely won the debate. Him and Warren, I think, were the top two, at least for that first night. So.
Yes, absolutely. The second, none of the other ones are really standing out. Like, I mean, because Harris was trying to pull herself out, and she's just getting attacked, and she doesn't have a great record, and she really doesn't have that great rhetoric, because in order to stand out on a field of 20, you have to have something that makes your policies and your ideas stand out.
Yeah.
And the fact remains that none of them do, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, the only one that stood out to me was the guy from Oregon. Washington. One of those northwestern states, the one who's ultra focused on climate change.
From the first night or the second night?
I think it was the second night. The governor of Washington, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Jay Inslee.
He's ultra focused on climate change, and that's. I mean, it stood out to me. But I think that healthcare is. I think that climate change is super important, but I think that healthcare is more important. Honestly.
Yeah, and the people who are better on healthcare than him and focus more on it, like Bernie and Warren, and maybe even like people like Tulsi or. Maybe those three. They're also really good on climate change. I mean, like Bernie and Warren both back the Green New Deal, so they're obviously pretty far left, pretty progressive on climate change. So, yeah, I think it's good that he's on the stage to bring that issue up and make people discuss it. But yeah, I agree with you. Mostly he's just there to bring that issue up. So I don't know, man. pretty. I'm really hoping that the next debate cuts the field about in half.
Oh, more than that, man. I thought Yang was also a little bit interesting because his ideas are. He's a weird guy. Mm-hmm. He's got weird ideas, but he didn't really stand out. He's really good at like repeating his talking points. He's not really good at like back and forth or like a two-way discussion, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't think he's a great debater. He had a line that I actually didn't really like, but it got a big applause line where he was said.
That's another thing that pisses me off, and that CNN did better than MSNBC is suppressing people's idiotic applause. Because like I don't care what the studio audience thinks. This isn't an episode of Seinfeld. Like,
yeah.
Keep your hands in your pockets, folks. This is a time-limited debate, and when every statement has 30 seconds of clapping, we're cutting off getting to listen to the candidates. So thank you for ruining the debate to every person who clapped or cheered. Thanks for being a bad American.
I don't know. It's just gonna happen. I mean, that's just the nature of the thing. If they're gonna have a studio audience,
CNN suppressed it way more than MSNBC.
It's true.
MSNBC let them do whatever the hell they wanted, and that's why the debate was about half as substantial because they had half as much time to talk. Because every time they said something, they applauded louder than they fucking responded to the questions. Man, what a waste of time.
It's true. I mean, also I feel like a lot of the candidates with a lot to say, like Bernie and things like that, they did a good job of. Even when people would start to apply, he would just keep talking, and then they'd get quiet to like listen to what he was saying. So.
Yeah, that's what you should do. But I think absolutely. CNN, at least for the first night, did a really good job of suppressing it.
The second night, there was like people protesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I still don't know what they were saying.
Nobody does. Nobody.
They were saying it to like Cory Booker too, so I don't know what they were trying to tell him.
Oh, because he was involved in Benghazi, I think.
I know he's really dubious on the issue of like internet freedom, like, so maybe that could be it. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, you're boring, you don't have any good ideas. I don't know.
Lock her up. Lock her up.
That's probably what it was. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, I think Sanders went up in the polls after that a little bit. I think Biden's continuing to drop, so we'll see what happens. Just have to keep going. The polls are going to keep changing. I think Biden's on his way down.
I see that Trump is way on his way down after the gun thing. Even though me and you, we say that there's like a lot of, let's say, radical opinions on gun control in the United States based on the polling from the last couple of weeks. The negatives on Trump have gone way up, and basically a majority of people, like 89% of Republicans right now, support universal background checks. So
yeah, I mean the
Republicans.
I was gonna say it's been that way for a while though. Like I think after Sandy Hook, it was like over 90% of NRA members were in favor of background checks. So it's been high for a long time. It's just that the fucking Mitch McConnell and Trump don't want to do anything. They won't. Man, I mean, McConnell won't even introduce a bill.
So long in hell, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, which one, McConnell or Trump? Both, probably.
Both.
I mean,
particularly McConnell.
People have been protesting him recently, like going to his house and protesting outside.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. Very good. He's a snake. He won't introduce like any new legislation about that stuff. He's a bad person.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bad guy. He's a real bad guy.
Well, if Democrats take the Senate in 2020, he's going to lose the top spot.
Oh, I can't wait.
And his career will be over. The icing on the top of his career is enabling the Trump agenda for 4 years. Like, what an end to a career. Getting nothing done. Passing, like, one of the worst tax cuts, which has a sunset clause in it for normal Americans.
Yeah.
In like, a generation.
In 10 years, yeah. 10 years, every middle-class person's taxes will go up.
A lot of them already have, man. I was watching...
Yeah.
I was reading some stuff recently about, how Trump... I mean, trucking. Trucking is one of the most popular jobs in America. And for men, it's like top 3. And basically, part of the tax cut was that they cut out the per diem exemption for truck drivers. So most American truck drivers saw their taxes go way up last year.
Jeez.
So they're like really pissed. There's like videos of them heckling him at protests and stuff, where he's talking about like helping truckers make more money, and they'll boo him and stuff because some of them are paying like an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a year in taxes.
Meanwhile, the rich are paying significantly less.
Yeah, corporations, man. Well, corporations are people, so we gotta consider them.
That's true. That's true. They are people, so they should be paying 0% in taxes, even though they're making billions of dollars in profit.
Well, the rich help feed the poor, so
it trickles down. They just pee on our heads, so it trickles
we should
down.
call it golden shower economics.
Exactly. So
That's the best analogy, I think.
I think I would agree with that. That's a very good analogy.
I'm sure Abby would agree too.
And we all know how she feels about those. She loves to get them. She loves to give them.
Oh.
But,
back.
yeah.
If you're curious about what we're talking about, go back to episode 17, folks.
Yeah, you can get a good understanding of what we're talking about with golden shower economics and Abby.
Abby's ideology.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, well, we can just hope that the Democrats don't elect someone that might lose to Trump, because
nobody. I mean, like the only one would maybe be Marianne Wilson.
Man, I don't know. Biden.
None of them, man. The polls, none of them. Independents
It's
right
true,
now.
but that's
like
right
Republicans
now.
still support him as usual. Independents are about 67% unfavorable on Trump. He's done, man. That's the voting block that matters, because Democrats are coming out for sure. Republicans are coming out maybe. Depends on what happens. Independents fucking hate him.
It's true. A good portion of the Republican Party always votes, though. I think that it's almost certain that they'll come out. But he is losing some support. Like I think the biggest voting block that he's been losing is like white women, like suburban white women, because they're they kind of can't stand the optics of him.
And
I don't even know
also
if it's really his
evangelicals, because
policies.
I heard that he was using the Lord's name in vain recently.
Man, the evangelical Republicans can almost always find a reason why it's okay for him.
Yeah, Falwell was like, "Oh, yeah, he's just joking around with our Lord's name. Not a big deal."
Yeah, exactly. But if someone else breaks it, they're like scum of the earth or something. Like I'm sure.
Well,
he thinks,
Obama was the Antichrist because Planned Parenthood continued to exist while he was president. That's why.
Yeah, just like it has under Trump.
Yeah.
Though it has been, it's been pretty thoroughly gutted in a lot of states, but.
But Donald Trump, who takes the Lord's name in vain on national television while attacking his opponents, is a good Christian.
Talks about raping women. Talks about
who cheated on his wife.
Cheated on
all of his wives.
I was gonna say cheated on multiple wives, while one of them was
with
pregnant.
A porn star. Yeah, while his newest inbred son was born.
Oh man, it's upside down world, man, bizarro world, but it's the reality of our situation in the United States right now.
Donald Trump is like the impotent ED version of Stalin. If Stalin were like a Viagra commercial, that would be Donald Trump.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say, as much as I don't want Biden to win the nomination, and I think it would be very dangerous, because I am on the fence about whether I think he could potentially lose to Trump, especially with his deteriorating faculties, man. I don't know.
Donald Trump is mentally. If you find this offensive, it's not. It shouldn't be offensive because it's a fact. Donald Trump has early mental retardation at this point.
I would say, yeah, but Biden's on his way there too, I think. But what I was gonna say is, as much as I don't want Biden to win the nomination, not just because I think he could lose to Trump, I also think he's really bad on things like China and other really big issues.
I agree with you, but he wouldn't lose. He wouldn't lose.
Okay, we can disagree on that and have that debate later. But my point being,
he would lose to a man in moderate stages of dementia, man. Like this guy.
they're both going into stages of dementia, in my opinion. So
Biden. I'm not sure. Biden can still hold a discrete thought together, whereas Trump, it's
okay, kind of. But in a year, will he be able to? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Trump right now more resembles. I don't want to. Okay, I should be careful how I state this.
Mm-hmm.
He resembles an early stage, probably an early stage dementia patient. Probably about a year out from starting to forget like important things, like the names of family members. He's at about that point, from what I can see, from the way he speaks. He's really losing his faculty. Biden is a little bit forgetful. He like has a hard time finishing his sentences, but he can at least respond properly to people, you know?
It's true, and I will say he's always been gaffe prone, but he's had some pretty big gaffes recently. Like when he said, like there was one where he was giving a speech and he said, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. Like, it's really bad. And I wouldn't say that I don't think he's like an out and out racist. He's said some things that are very racially insensitive before. Like when he said Obama was like a smart, clean guy. It's just like, that sounds really bad, man.
It's not. That guy's, I mean, I don't think that's racial at all. This is a guy who's been in Congress for like 40 years. And Obama is probably like one of the most clean-cut political figures out there. This is a guy who basically has the highest degree pedigree you could ask for. He's a Harvard law professor, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, he's really smart, and he is, yeah.
Agreed. And I do think he's very smart, and I think he's clean-cut. But when you say he's clean, that sounds bad. That's, again, I'm not saying...
he meant clean-cut.
He might have, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's a gaffe, and
I don't think that's a gaffe. I think that's people just like trying to jump on idiotic statements, man.
I don't know. It sounds bad, is all I'm saying. It sounds bad. It doesn't sound.
I feel
great.
like this is so oversensitive.
I don't know, man. Maybe, but like when it
happens, why do we need to keep attacking
again.
our own in this way? Like Donald Trump says way more ridiculous stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Way more offensive stuff all the time, and none of that has dethroned him. So why don't we just like calm down on the name calling and like calling people out on every little statement they make, at least until Donald Trump is gone.
That's fair. And my whole point in bringing up this whole argument, I was just qualifying things, is that as much as I don't want Biden to be the nominee, I think it would be hilarious, and there would be so much interesting footage to come out of the debates between Biden and Trump. Just two geriatric patients like trying to fight each other on stage. It would be gold. But that being said,
Bernie Sanders
is going to
all of them.
I
love Bernie, but
he's much sharper though. He's much sharper when he's debating, I think. So, but anyway, that was just
true. You just got to be careful with these age things, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. It's not about Biden's age, it's just about the fact that I don't think he's as sharp as he used to be. I'd still take him over Trump, don't get me wrong, as much as I think he has a lot of policies that I disagree with, but anyway.
Especially for a party that's obsessed with identity politics, this is just a dangerous game.
Yeah, for sure. And then hopefully, I think people who are really serious about politics, at least the people who are really progressive, I think are starting to pull away from that in some ways, but you still have people lingering to that, we got to elect, such and such, and insert identity here, which is frustrating to see. But
not only that form of identity, not only forms of physical identity, but also forms of, I suppose, political identity.
Such as like progressive or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think that's the Republican Party does that. Well, I shouldn't say the Republican Party. The Republican Party right now is almost destroyed, because like when I go on Twitter and I start Twitter wars with people, one of the first things they do to defend themselves is they say, "I'm actually not a Republican." They're using that as like a defense mechanism to basically say, I don't have to hold myself to any ideological values at all because I'm in supporter of Trump, period.
Yeah, I'm just
so what happens post-Trump, man? The Republican Party is dead.
I don't think it's dead, but it's going to be in disarray for a long time. They're going to definitely have to rebuild themselves.
I mean that. I don't mean that literally, but
I know I totally understand your point though, and I would concur. I think they're in a real bad way, especially once Trump is gone.
Mark Sanford, who is definitely not my favorite politician, is now publicly talking about primarying Trump.
Wow. Yeah, I think there was one other person that said they might try to primary him.
The fact that the Christian Conservative Party has at its head a spate of serial adulterers, most of them who Mark Sanford committed adultery with state money while he was in public office, for fuck's sake. This is the guy you're using to challenge another serial adulterer? Like, I thought this was the Christian Conservative Party. Like, where have the values of that party gone, man? They don't hold anything dear anymore. For them, all it's about is what? Picking Supreme Court nominees that they like so they can engage in some hypocritical war.
Yeah.
You don't believe in family values if you're electing people who cheat on their wives, who use the Lord's name in vain in public, like.
Yeah, exactly. It's all. I mean, it's all kind of been a.
And you're not a
joke for
conservative
long time.
if you pick a bully. That's not conservatism.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's right-wing extremism.
Yeah, I think a lot of them have kind of shown their true colors, and that they're, they're really just they're also kind of about identity politics, but it's just about white identity.
It's not even white identity. It's because white identity is
some of it is. Some of it is.
I would say it's rural Christian white identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also suburban evangelicalism. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
those two are somewhat married.
I would say there's probably two separate sets of identity that are included in that bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Suburban evangelicalism.
Yeah, I think that's
Do we say evangelicals or evangelism?
I say evangelicals.
Yeah, but what's the proper? What's
think
the
it's
proper ideological adjective?
I think it's evangelicals.
But that's a noun.
Yeah.
Evangelism. I think it's evangelism, man.
Evangelism would be the adjective, but I'm saying
evangelism.
Suburban evangelicals. Suburban would be the adjective, and evangelicals would be the noun.
Yeah. Oh, there is a word, evangelicalism and evangelism. They're both okay. Evangelicalism. Wow.
Your daily grammar lesson from the Free China Pod. But yeah. Anyway, I think those two are married. But I think, like I said, I think Trump is losing support, and maybe the Republican Party in general for supporting him is losing support from white evangelical women, which is a decent part of that bloc. So it's not looking good for them. But all right, we can move away from the American electoral presidential politics. We can get back into that when more stuff comes out. I mean, there'll be another debate in a month. So
there better be only 6 candidates total.
I hope so, man. They're raising the qualifications. I think it's you have to be polling at like at least 2% or something and get a bunch of
at least
individual donors. No, 2%. Huh. Which is not high, but
that's not high at all.
It would cut about 10 candidates out. Like I don't think like Jay Inslee or Hickenlooper.
What's the Inslee at?
I think he's probably at 1%. Delaney, I think, is like at 1%.
John Delaney.
Yeah, Tim Ryan, I think, is another one that's only at 1%. One of those guys dropped out. I forgot who it was. They all run together for me. Like I usually listen to the debates, so like I can tell their voices apart, but all their names are just like, it's just like, oh, you're just a John Doe, like with cookie cutter policies that doesn't really want to have any big change. So they all bleed together for me.
Let me check.
Like
YouGov. YouGov puts. Wow, no, that's not good.
What's wrong?
Warren is 2.
What?
So Sanders is 3 in this poll.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Biden is 1. at 21. Warren is 2 at 20. Sanders is 3 at 16. Harris is...
Is this a national poll?
Whoa, sorry. Sanders is 4th at 16. Sanders, yeah, this is YouGov. Harris is 5th, 8%. Buttigieg is 5, and O'Rourke is 5. But
Okay.
if they're making a 2% cutoff, then Tulsi Gabbard and Cory Booker are still going to be on that stage.
That's okay with me. I kind of like. I don't really. I mean, Booker doesn't bring anything new. I don't think, but I
De
think
Blasio
Tulsi-
is 0.
0. Yikes! Wow.
And so is Delaney 0. I mean, it's 0 point whatever.
yeah.
Inslee is 0. Yeah, I don't know which of these polls to trust.
You have to kind of take like put them all together and see, because I saw Sanders was polling number 1 in a couple states. I think New Hampshire.
I think as long as he pulls ahead in the first couple states, it'll pull him up. I think I have to argue with my parents on this, because they're like, oh, well, I don't think Bernie's electable. I'm like, you got to look at the matchups actually against Trump, because he's
Yeah, I
more
was gonna
electable.
say, you should show them the head-to-heads, because he smokes Trump a lot of times by many more percentage points than Biden. So
My
the
mom
the
really likes-
electability argument makes me really angry.
It makes
Go
me angry too, because it's wrong. But my mom supports Warren, and I'm like, I guess.
Warren's my number 2, but she's a somewhat distant number 2. And my number 3 is, I don't even know, but it would
Ivanka.
be a very distant. Yeah, probably a Marianne Williamson and Ivanka Trump ticket. The
Well,
Crystals
I like how they
ticket.
grade these pollsters. Harris X C plus. All right, let's look at only the A and A plus ratings.
All right, let's see it.
You're not gonna be happy. Survey USA. I've never even heard of this. What the
Like
heck is this?
Survey Monkey or something?
This is Public Policy Institute of California. Harris is number 1. Warren is number 2, and Sanders is number 3, and Biden is in 4th. Maybe
That's I've never heard of that grouping.
that's only in California though. That's why.
Oh,
Because
that's why, yeah.
Kamala Harris is from California.
You're pronouncing her name wrong. It's Kamala.
But here's another poll from Survey USA in California. Puts Biden at 25 and Harris under Sanders.
You
Looks
have to
like-
look at the methodology too, because I know there was a bunch of the initial polls were basically not polling young voters. They were basically not polling anyone from like 20 to 35.
What
and I mean,
why? What?
well, they do think it's because the there's not enough numbers. I don't know what they might be doing, like phone polling or something, and millennials.
We're gonna call landlines today only, folks. Landlines only.
I think sometimes that's what they do, and so then obviously you're not getting a representative sample, and they do things to try to mitigate that missing polling information, but you know,
There's no way. That's a joke.
because I remember Nate Silver was like trying to defend it, and it was just like, all right, dude, you're sad and you have like the worst takes. His Twitter is like a joke. He's always like,
Landlines, folks. Landlines are the future, okay? If you
It's
have
like,
a cell phone
I
right
know
now,
numbers,
cancel
boy.
your service, go home, install your phone, and call your local cable provider to pay $90 a month.
get some dial-up internet, baby.
Otherwise, I'm going to
Yeah.
be without a job.
I don't want to say I hope he doesn't have a job, but he's very annoying to me.
In Taiwan, a lot of the polling here is done by mail.
They do a decent amount of landline polls too. But I feel like more people have landlines here. I guess not young people, but
Yeah, but everyone lives at home, so it doesn't matter.
that's true. That's true.
I mean, it
sometimes-
depends where you are, but like in my school, like the number of students that I have probably about maybe not 200 anymore. I don't know. Maybe at least 150 students.
Mm-hmm.
The number of students that I have that live away from their parents, I could count on one hand.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And that runs the gamut from like university to like 40-something-year-old single people.
Yeah, if they're single, they're probably living at home unless they're moved to another city to get a job.
Yeah, the one that I can think of one.
No, I can think of two. One is from Jiayi, and the other one is from Penghu.
Yeah, that's why. That's why. But yeah, usually they'll live with the parents, live with the fam. So it's not surprising. But yeah, I mean, you can see the differences though. Like when they were doing polling for the DPP, it was, if they just did landline pollings, it was like really close. But if they did landlines and cell phones, or only cell phones, Tsai like smoked. She was just killing it by like 20 points. She's
All right,
blazing.
we can talk about American politics. No, Taiwanese politics now.
All right.
Same country.
We're moving to Asia. We got to talk about Xiangang too.
Let's talk about Taiwan for a minute, though, since we're already on the election. The election's coming up soon, and
next January.
Ko Wen-je has finally shown his true colors.
He's a snake.
He's always been a snake in the grass. I've never trusted him, and it came out. I mean, people would like cover up. Like he makes these kind of under the cuff statements about appeasing China and stuff like that, and then tries to like blow it off. But I mean, now it's true. When you start talking about going in the league with Guo Taiming.
Yeah, exactly.
When you start threatening to challenge Tsai Ing-wen, when you're in a race against, you're essentially going to split not the left vote, split the. I suppose it's basically becoming left-right almost.
A little bit, yeah. It's not exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same, but left-right is a joke in America anyways. It's more and more becoming left-right. One side supports economics at all costs and supports a little bit of nationalism, and the other side supports at least, and also social conservatism, by the way, and is pro-business. The other side supports social housing, supports marriage equality, supports indigenous rights a little bit more. The KMG is not terrible on that. Supports democratic movements and human rights over the economic issues.
Yep.
So it's more and more reflecting a classical left-right dichotomy, even though I think left-right is dead.
Yeah, and it's funny because for as much as people want to complain about, like you're right, the KMT does care more about economics when it comes down to it, like running like Terry Guo, like a huge businessman.
Or Han Kuo-yu.
Or Han Kuo-yu. But at the same time, they want to complain about, Tsai Ing-wen is bad for the economy, blah, blah, blah. But the economy has been growing phenomenally under her. I think Taiwan is like number 4 in the Asian Tigers now. So
I agree with you, but in the eyes of these people, it could grow even more if they just unleash it by basically creating a one-way trade deal, kind of like doing a Hong Kong deal and selling out Taiwanese sovereignty like a bunch of traders, so that in 20 years it can be your kids too can get shot in the streets by Chinese troops.
Yeah, exactly. Your kid could also lose their eye from a beanbag round from an 870 Remington from point blank range. Wouldn't that be great?
It hasn't even started yet, man. Hong Kong's gonna get way worse. And the article I'm working on now talks about how basically China has made invasion plans of Hong Kong twice in the past, and they've only been called off by the shortest of measures. They planned to invade in 1967, and they also planned to invade during the handover negotiations with the UK. Apparently, and this was just verified a few years ago, they made invasion plans, and basically they said if the negotiations didn't go the way they wanted, or if people in Hong Kong started protesting, asking for democracy, that they would just send troops across the border.
Wow.
So they have been planning to invade in response to protests before. Twice in the past. In 1967, when there were actually Marxist, some kind of parallel to Marxist protests going on in Hong Kong, and in the 1980s, if they had protested against the handover.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah,
so that just shows how willing they are to use military force, that they're just waiting for the opportunity to crack down and end this little 50-year nonsense one country, two systems, man.
Yeah, it's a joke. Well, quickly, for anyone who doesn't know, if you're completely out of the political loop for some reason or another, basically what's going on is the island of Hong Kong was like handed back to mainland China under one country, two systems, basically. So they have their own government, but essentially it's a puppet dictatorship.
Well, you
handed
should
over and-
give a little context first that Hong Kong was previously colonially administered by the UK government, and then the UK government, without asking a single person, I should say a single average person in Hong Kong, because just like normal, in these colonial situations, the only people they care about are the rich elites.
Yeah.
They handed the island back to Hong Kong under a fraudulent basic law, and
Back to China, you mean?
back to China, promising and signed onto by the Chinese government that they would have elections for the chief executive held by universal suffrage by all people. 22 years after the fact, they have made absolutely no movements toward that, and they probably never will. They have violated the terms of one country, two systems, and they violated the terms of the basic law.
Yep. It's absolutely true. And now, basically, the recent protests started over an extradition law, which, if you listen to our last podcast, we talked about a little bit. And you can go check out our interviews with people on the street. This is basically, we went to like the second big major protest about protesting this extradition law to China.
We went to the biggest protests.
It was estimated about 2 million people, estimated over 2 million by some sources. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. But when we went there, I feel like the ideology has already changed for the normal Hong Konger, at least we haven't been back yet, but what I'm seeing on Twitter, what I'm seeing from other news sources, seems like now they're moving more and more towards they actually want suffrage, like you were saying.
Because they're upset. I think they figured that after this mass protest, they would at least get some response from the government. But instead, the government, they just pulled the bill and did nothing. Carrie Lam has proved she is fundamentally incapable of ruling Hong Kong, as has the Chinese Communist Party proved that they are incapable of fairly administering the one country, two systems monstrosity that they asked for.
Yeah.
Okay. Or supervising Carrie Lam. The city has descended into chaos, and all they do is blame the protesters instead of considering why the protesters are out there. Have they acceded to a single one of the protesters' demands? Not one. They pretend that since Carrie Lam gave her personal promise, which is worth as much as a bag of dog shit to the protesters, that she's not going to renew the bill. It means nothing. She hasn't formally revoked the bill or anything like that. They haven't done a single thing to appease any of the demands of the protesters, who represent about a third of the bloody population and who came out to the streets.
Yeah. And have continued to. Yeah, all they did was suspend the extradition bill, which, again, like
Suspended
you said, means
indefinitely.
absolutely nothing.
It's
But
nothing,
it means
and
absolutely nothing.
they're doing nothing now. It's as things get worse and worse. Instead of negotiating, instead of moving towards some kind of settlement, instead of giving a single ounce of leeway, they're strengthening their positions. They're calling them riots.
Yeah.
They're bringing out riot police, and now the Chinese government is making explicit threats to use force against civilians.
And there are somewhat substantiated. I haven't seen like 100% substantiation of these claims, but people are claiming that they're doing a military buildup in Shenzhen, like on this, basically on the
Donald
border of
Trump
Hong Kong.
fucking claimed that. Like, that's verification, man. Donald Trump.
That's true. That's true. He did say that.
Yeah, it's happening. But I
And
think
he also did a pretty poor job. Like, he basically said, "Oh, that's between China and Hong Kong."
Donald Trump is
because democracy doesn't matter to him.
an anti-democrat traitor to the United States because he's a communist sodomite. He thinks that Xi Jinping is his
I think he's
friend.
a proto-fascist. Yeah.
Did you see the tweet recently, man?
No.
Let me read it to you.
All right.
You'll be very upset. Everyone should be very upset.
I'm sure I will.
This is literally the tweet. Oh my gosh. I know President Xi of China very well. He is a great leader who very much has the respect of his people. He is also a good man in a tough business. I have zero doubt that if President Xi wants to quickly and humanely solve the Hong Kong problem, he can do it. Personal meeting? ?
Jeez.
What the fuck, man?
For real. Holy moly.
I don't like to use profanity on here, but that is disgusting, kowtowing, groveling trash, man. You are the president of the United States. you praising a bloodthirsty dictator, and then
Yeah.
asking for a phone call from your personal friend, somebody who say you respect, while the democratic freedoms of a people of just disappear in front of your eyes, man.
That's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I mean, not to mention the fact that, Trump has kind of been on the fact that, they're stealing our intellectual property, they're screwing us over on trade deals, not to mention organ harvesting that's going on in the country, not to mention that they have the State Department estimates that there's 3 million ethnic minority Uyghurs in East Turkestan.
Absolutely.
Right now, in concentration camps. It's absurd that people aren't calling this out. I think the Democrats would do well to start talking about some of this stuff too. They're doing some stuff about intellectual property theft and getting screwed on trade deals, but that's not enough. You want to talk about how you're a protector of human rights. Why don't you talk about some of that stuff? You talk about that there's 3 million people in concentration camps, quote unquote re-education camps, and now they're talking about that there's probably slave labor going on when those people get out. They're going to jobs where they're not paid and they're being forced to work, and they're having their culture just ripped away from them. It's absurd, man. It makes me so angry about these people, especially like the UN. Oh, we're protector of human rights. It's like, well,
the
then
UN
why don't you
is
get
a
out there and
joke.
talk
The
about
US
it?
has been and the UN has been a joke for a long time, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Since they expelled Taiwan from the UN.
It's about that money. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's maddening, some of this stuff, man.
What's maddening to me is that this got 64,000 likes.
Every time he tweets, no matter if it's just like an audio file of him farting and like shitting his pants, like it will get 30,000 retweets and 60 plus thousand likes. It's just, some of it I'm sure is bots, but the majority of it is just sycophants. They just see that he tweets and they like it. It doesn't matter. It's just these mouth-breathing troglodytes that follow every word that he says. That's not to say that, if he does something good, I will say that he does something good. It's just so rare that he does something good that it often doesn't happen. But the level of just hero worship that people put out for him is disgusting to me. Yeah, man, I don't know. Everyone needs to go support Hong Kong. Look into this stuff more. We have a bunch of articles up on the site, and Ari's writing at least 2 more, I think, about Hong Kong right now. So
this makes me so angry.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Doesn't even begin to cover it. It's like I said, it's maddening. It drives me crazy, and it's not a super hopeful situation. So, but I will say that some people in the Thai government supports them, and the New Power Party has said that they're going to try to, since they were talking about sending supplies to Hong Kong to help the protesters. So at least Taiwan's part of Taiwan. 2 of the parties are on the right side of things.
That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, that's all there is to say right now. I mean, they just did that protest of the airport, which was supremely frustrating because it was, I mean, there was some bad tactics on the part of the protesters, but they've already come out and apologized for it. But the thing that really drove me crazy was when they were just basically occupying the airport. They weren't trying to even shut it down. They were just there to make sure that like the international community saw it. And there were just numerous videos of like, I saw one South African person that was like out there being like,
yeah, I saw that.
You're delaying my flight, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, everyone go follow our Twitter. I retweet a lot of that stuff and try to get some of the information out there. And it's just like, really? You're going to complain about your flight being delayed maybe even a couple days? Like, get over yourself. These people are fighting for their freedoms. They're literally going to become slaves of the Communist Party. And if the Communist Party invades, there's going to be blood in the streets, almost certainly. So, there already is blood in the streets. Just recently, a protester got her eye shot out by the Hong Kong police. They shot her in the face with a beanbag round from point-blank range. And it's just, it's bad, man. It's really bad. Video of a guy getting his face rubbed on the concrete basically by the police, like it's really bad. And then they want to call the protesters, say that they're rioting. It's like, no, these are peaceful protests that get turned into chaos when people just run in there and start shooting tear gas canisters into crowds, which is against use of force. You're not supposed to shoot beanbag rounds at people's heads. They shoot the pepper balls at people, which is also not. You're supposed to shoot them at walls or floors to disperse crowds. It's like amateur hour with a bunch of bloodthirsty cops, and some of them are from mainland China. It's just sickening. So go out there and support Hong Kong. Everyone needs to be supporting democratic movements throughout the world, and that's a big one right now in the face of an authoritarian state that is communist China. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll have more on that later. Really want to go back, but I don't even know if we'd be able to get in the country right now.
We could go and. We could go. I think we could. But it's going to be dangerous, man.
That's what I'm saying. I really don't want to get arrested. If you got arrested in Hong Kong, maybe a wrap.
Yeah.
Even just walking on the streets would be dangerous with the volatility of the situation there right now. But we'll see. We'll talk about it. We can talk about that off air. Yeah, so everyone go try to get yourselves informed about that if you're not already. It's a very important turn of events in the world right now.
Disgusting.
It is super disgusting. Are there any other big issues going on right now?
Hong Kong, Taiwan. What else? The Taiwan election.
Taiwan election, yeah. I'm pretty hopeful about that. About the way that'll turn out. I think it's
based on the polling that I've read so far, it's more than likely going to. I mean, you know that the primary system in Taiwan is different. That, well, it depends on the American state, but in a lot of American states, if you want to vote in the party primary, you have to be a member of that party, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not in Taiwan, so it was an open primary, so that's probably why Han Kuo-yu won, because
that's what I've heard. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have told me. They said probably a lot of DPP people voted for Han Kuo-yu because they think he's an easier opponent for Tsai.
I have no idea why they let him run. They're shooting themselves in the foot. But the KMT, I really don't know what they're thinking at this point. The fact that they've made this, the KMT historically, it's just like the Republican Party of the United States. All these historical beliefs about the supremacy of anti-communism, of this Chinese nationalist idea, basically, that the CPP, my brain, man, I didn't get enough sleep last night.
It's all right.
That the CCP is an evil entity that essentially stole China from the nationalists and is trying to destroy Chinese history, whatever. Even if you believe that, there's a single China, how could you reconcile with Communist Party?
Yeah, I don't think you could.
They've completely lost all of their beliefs. They're willing to sell basically Taiwan for economic benefit. So it was never about communism at all. It was just about holding power for Jiang Jieshi. Is that really the whole point of the KMT, that it was about a single man and perhaps his son? I don't think so. I think they truly believed in Chinese nationalism.
Yeah.
And now,
yeah, I think originally maybe it was done for at least some. I'm sure that there's always various layers to this, but I think probably originally it was out of an anti-communist sentiment, but now it's go ahead.
Now we know what it is. It's about money. Yeah. It's about keeping the status quo and keeping people who have money, keeping money in their pockets, and who cares about democracy? Who cares about your children's future? As long as we can buy bigger, better iPhone fucking 25s, every year until we die, as long as I get a new iPhone every year until I die, that's what's gonna make me happy. Who cares about democracy? Who cares about being able to send my kids abroad to study? Who cares about being able to protest, being able to say what I want, being able to think what I want? I guess those things are not as important as having new iPhones every year.
Yeah. It's worth having a facial recognition camera on every street and having to get on the Shida app every day if I can have a nice new iPhone.
The only thing we can take solace in, man, is that the days of the CCP regime are numbered. They're not even as old as the Soviet Union was when the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yeah.
And they're still lots of time for it to collapse. And while people think that it's unlikely, people thought that the Arab Spring was unlikely too. You really never know what's going to happen.
It's true, and there's mutterings of the CCP being displeased with the job that Xi Jinping is doing. So, take that with a grain of salt. That's, online.
Where did you hear those mutterings? I haven't heard that.
On Twitter, so that's why I say take it with a grain of salt, But yeah, I've heard mutterings about that, and even if those are totally untrue. I mean, they're obviously unsubstantiated. But even inside of that, like you said, they're pretty young, and they've already shown that they don't know how to rule very well. And I don't know with the CCP, they're not doing a very good job of ruling their citizenry. They're cracking down more and more. I mean, there have been a few recent protests that didn't get handled very well, and it's hard to tell exactly what's happening because there's such a closed off regime that it's hard to really tell what they're doing internally sometimes.
What I don't understand is how I get the really thick system of propaganda in China, but when you think about it, if you're exposed to the rest of the world, which many Chinese are, these overseas Chinese, the people who come home, I get that they're caught in a cultural bubble, and I get that they consider it almost like a warfare mentality. But when you see the age of the ideology that they're espousing and the falseness, how you can attribute any form of Marxism to the current CCP is beyond me. They're absolutely anti-Marxist in every single facet. Like, this is not communism. This is totalitarian nationalism.
Yeah, exactly. It's totalitarian.
So if you want to support a party that has the interests of only its members in mind, what's the point? At this point, there's really no argument to be made for Chinese people. Why there needs to be a difficult to get into monolithic party, a single party that controls all politics in China. Why not make it competitive? Okay. And B,
they would probably argue stability, but go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, why? That's fine. That's fine. Why they consider stability ahead of any kind of transition towards a system where they have more say in their future? Like, do they really think that they're such a shit people, that they are such a shit country that at the slightest provocation they would devolve into chaos? India has more people than China probably right now. If they don't now, they will next year.
Yeah, they will very soon.
India has democracy and has since the 1950s, for fuck's sake. When was the last time India devolved into, like, chaos and civil war? It's a joke. And not only that, India is far more culturally diverse and has different religions. There is lots of religious conflict and violence. That's not to say that the government has ever collapsed or that there's ever been a civil war or serious civil strife. No more than has existed in China during the Cultural Revolution.
Well, I mean, even so, I mean, there is some. There have been protests and things like that within China, and usually it's over just like local political issues. But it's not like it's a beautiful, harmonious society.
Exactly, it's an intellectual fraud, and anyone who thinks deeply about these issues, I get that they would support the Chinese government when it's compared to Western governments who are basically just constantly shitting on them. So yeah, I get it is a defensive mechanism. Yeah, you're going to support your own government. But realistically, when you think about your future, when you think about what the reason is to support this garbage government, I mean, the logic falls flat.
I think part of that is the brainwashing that goes on because it is complete and whole from cradle to grave. They are completely brainwashed in every form of media. I mean, just looking at like the example of the Hong Kong protest, it's wiped off of Weibo and WeChat. All of it is government censored, has taken it all down, or maybe even like lower level censors. But people post a lot from Hong Kong about like WeChat, whatever. Like they'll post the message boards like where they'll say like, oh, I posted this, and like 10 seconds later it's gone, or you can't even post it. It's like this word is like basically pre-deleted. So it's complete control of everything that goes into their brains, and then you force people also to do things like use the Communist Party app and things like that, where they're just pumping propaganda in their brains every day. And I think they also it's just they're comfortable enough right now. Most people are comfortable enough where they don't care to think about it.
We should next month I can try and ask the Chinese guy to be a guest. Because he used to be in the party's youth league.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but now he's let's just say he's a regime skeptic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to hear thoughts from someone who's gotten outside of China and maybe, I mean, he's, interested in politics, put it that way. So that would make me interested, because I feel like most overseas Chinese that I've talked to are either not interested in politics or just regurgitate party propaganda.
That's what I've encountered in a lot of cases. Well, you know why? Because if you're not connected to the party, if you don't pass the exit interviews, it's not likely that you're going to be granted a visa to get out of China. If you're like dubious on the CCP, or you're then you're not getting out.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. And I mean, now with the social credit system starting to roll out, if you don't live up to their expectations of what a good little party boy should be, then you're also not getting. You may not even be able to get a train ticket, let alone get a flight out of the
party
country.
Boy.
You're a nice little party boy. That's a good boy. So
Chris Pontius style. You get it?
I got you. That was good.
It's a little hot in here.
It is a little hot.
It's like a good time for a party.
Yeah, so it's
Wow, we're old.
Those will be, we are. That's all right. We're not that old.
That's true.
Not too old, but not young anymore.
Well, I'm still young.
I get told I'm young a lot, so that makes me feel better. But then my students tell me that I look like I'm 50, and then my heart breaks.
One of my 16-year-old students, I didn't ask him. He's just like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you." He's like, "You look like you're about 35."
Then you open hand slapped him.
I was like, I'm not even 30.
I hate when my students do that, because I always just tell them to guess, because I want to see what they say. And sometimes I'll have like students that'll be like, "Oh, you're like 21, right?" And I'm like, 10 stickers for you. Yeah, the veganism I think is helping too.
Veganism
I mean,
definitely helps.
My dad.
Actually, I've had really bad acne this month, but still.
Really. I called my parents and recently, and my dad was like, "Oh, your skin looks better."
Oh wow!
That's good.
Did they even know you're a vegan?
Yeah, I think they kind of knew. I told them.
It's like coming out of the closet. They kind of had a feeling about it, but
yeah, they were like, "We always kind of knew." I think my mom was a little bit surprised. My dad was like, "Yeah, I think you like kind of mentioned it or something," because they knew I did the month.
It one time, but I didn't really know.
Felt like I was bringing my boyfriend home. But yeah, they kind of knew. My mom was kind of surprised, but they were like, "Yeah, it's good." I was kind of surprised.
It's good. I accept you no matter what you do, Jordan.
We'll love you no matter what. I was kind of expecting a bigger reaction, but it's all right. It's not for them. It's for me anyway. So
it's not about them. It's about what I want. Okay.
It's about who I am.
I can't change this kind of stuff, guys.
It's just who I am. I was born this way.
I sent you a little meme there while we're on the phone, because that's what I do.
I heard the sound.
Do you hear me clicking? Click, click, click.
A little,
click, click,
a little
click.
bit. It's all right. I'll
Click,
edit
click.
it all out in post.
Click, click, click.
Actually, I probably won't edit it out in post.
Did I tell you I got rejected from the job at City Council?
Oh, really? Why?
Because I'm too white.
Racists.
Yeah. I think that's probably why. I think they wanted somebody who was like more. I think the idea is that they wanted somebody who had a very strong like cultural identity that was like outside of Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm a little bit too maybe Taiwanese for them already, man.
Yeah, that would make sense. You would
The way I
they
dress,
want,
the way I talk.
yeah. Did they were they looking for like I don't even know what they were like looking for.
That doesn't matter. It's not a conversation for the pod. The point
Okay,
is,
but-
we get discriminated against two guys.
We do. People don't understand us.
Yeah, we can get English jobs, but like, if you don't want to be an English teacher, it gets harder.
It's true, unless you want to be like an engineer or maybe a professor.
Even if you did want to be an engineer, I feel like unless you're Chinese, you'd have to be like basically native level Chinese in technical language to be able to do that almost.
Not to be an engineer. Actually, a lot of the tech companies. I have two students who are both like middle-aged engineers.
Yeah.
They actually both of them they have to speak English at like all their meetings and stuff because some of their upper-level managers basically speak no Chinese.
That's weird.
No Mandarin. We should say
in
Mandarin.
Hsinchu.
We should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I just said we should say Mandarin, not Chinese.
because most of my students here, we have the Nanzi Export Processing Zone in Kaohsiung. So I have a lot of students who are involved in that sector, engineers. And here, from what I understand, English is basically non-existent in the workplace.
Wow.
They
That's
use it in
surprising.
sales, and they'll use it for email and stuff. But the companies are mostly Taiwanese owned. Like the companies we have here are like ACE,
Mm-hmm.
like RIA, and that's one of the biggest ones. Is it ACE or ASE? ASE.
Yeah, I don't know.
Basically, lots of chip manufacturers, fabricators, and stuff like that. But I don't know. They're Taiwanese owned, so they don't really deal with outside managers.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I don't know the names of the two companies that the guys I tutor work for, but yeah, I know at least one of them. He like brings in like emails and stuff for me to like help him go through to like fix grammar and stuff because he said a few of his like upper level managers he has to speak to them in English, and all of his
Really?
meetings he like has to do in all English. Yeah, so
All the engineers that I know down here, including a couple in Hsinchu, their English is not good. Their English is non-existent or not good at all, or they don't use English at all in the workplace.
interesting.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe
It could be
depends on the
it could
company.
be foreign-owned companies. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly why it is, but yeah, I was very surprised when the guy told me that. I was like, really? You have to use all English? He's like, yeah, unless it's like a team meeting where it's all Mandarin speakers or all Taiwanese people. He's like, yeah, we have to use English.
Chip engineer.
I think he mostly deals with silicon, I think, but
What do you mean?
I'm trying to think what exactly he does. Yeah, definitely works on chips. Yes, like cell phone chips. I don't know exactly what his whole job entails, but he's like I think he's a lower level manager. So I don't know. I try not to ask too many questions about people's work because I don't know what they can tell me and what they can't.
Well, sometimes they like talking about their work.
I mean, he likes to tell me about his work, but I kind of just let him tell me what he wants to tell me. Try not to pry too much.
Oh.
What's your salary?
Yeah, you could ask.
Which is actually that's Taiwanese people ask me that all the time.
Yeah, that's true, and I feel very uncomfortable telling them. But lately,
I
my
usually
salary's been pretty low, so now I feel more comfortable.
I tell them like a ballpark. I usually just tell them a ballpark because it's like whatever. Because yeah, usually people are like, oh okay, yeah. They kind of expect you to make about that much, but then sometimes they're just like, wow, you make so much money, and like make me feel bad about it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But
I'm just like, if you want to protest for higher wages, I'll be out in the streets with you, but don't make me feel bad.
what people in Taiwan should protest against is these bloody drink companies who are operating in China.
Oh hell yeah.
I was walking by one the other day, and I was like, "Are there going to be customers?" And sure as hell, there were a whole bunch. Like, why do people continue to support these? Like, we should. Taiwanese people should be protesting outside of these drink establishments.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people definitely are. Like, I had a young student yesterday who was like, oh, like, you can't go to, like, these ones anymore. And I was like, I know. I was like, don't go. You either. He's like, I won't. He's like, I'm not going to them anymore. We can't go to them. And I was like, it's very good. He's like pretty young kid too, like going into 7th grade. It's like
Pretty
good.
young.
Stay on your politics tip.
We have to choose sides.
We do. It's all about choosing sides. Boycott all these, like, I'm sad Coco's on that list. I can't go there anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised.
Who else? Ifang.
You can find Cocos in mainland China, but you can't find them in southern Taiwan. That's a sign of not a great Taiwanese company.
It's true. But I won't be going there anymore. I have one that I go to in Longtan that's okay. They're not on that list, so
You just go to the little local ones. I'd go to Maku. We have I think it's only in Kaohsiung.
I was gonna say I don't know how many local ones there are in Taiwan, or I mean in northern Taiwan. It's all corporatized here, big international companies.
Well, when I say okay.
You mean local to Taiwan?
I mean like a little shop, just like a not a chain,
like a mom and pop.
I didn't want to use that word, but yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I try to keep it more local if I can, but I don't know. Sometimes it's not easy. But anyway, yeah. If you're in Taiwan, make sure you boycott all the China loving drink shops.
Let me see.
Don't give them any business. I did love that people were going after Yifang and writing Gongfang.
Fuck yeah.
Good. That's the good stuff. That's that shit I do like. Is there anything else?
Let me see about Maku here. What do they say? AD 2008. Are they a Christian company? Why AD? I think they've just plugged this into Google Translate.
Oh, probably. AD 2008, the year of our Lord.
Yeah, this is definitely through Google Translate. I think they mean Overlord Cup was launched. What is Overlord Cup? Very soon, it was extremely popular in the market and became the hottest drink among customers. Oh, yeah, this is a drink.
Overlord Cup.
This is definitely through Google Translate.
That's funny.
Oh, it says if you bring your own bottle, you can get $10 off your drink here.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I've been bringing my own straws, but I need to get a reusable cup.
Oh, and this is a southern store, only in Chongde. Where's Chongde? I don't know this place. Let's see. Chongde. Hualien, no way. No, there's no way it started in Hualien.
Why not?
Oh, I think Kaohsiung.
Kaohsiung Faratoi.
Fuck yeah. Hangoyu's been protecting me from the bad weather. It only rains at like 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day. So every single day, no rain except when I'm in work.
It's perfect.
And when I'm sleeping.
Those are okay times to have rain.
That's why I'm very
it's just a
thankful
little
to
bit
Hangoyu.
cooler. Thank you, Master Hangoyu.
Yeah, I think it's from rural Kaohsiung, and now they expanded in 2014 to Pingdong and Tainan, and they opened 2 stores in Taichung, and now they're in 2016 they moved to Banqiao, and New Taipei City.
Trying to get the market out to the Tiankong.
The end of 2017 they opened a branch store in mainland.
Gross.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? We shouldn't.
Gross.
It's not a hate for mainland. It's a hate for the things that companies
government.
do to
get a market there.
Yeah, kowtow to the bad government.
Yeah, so I guess if they're operating there, but they don't espouse any disgusting views, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. Yeah. No, I don't hold any hate for mainland people. I more pity a lot of them. I don't like the Umao, but besides 50 Cent Army, I pretty much just hate their government.
Cent Army.
What was it? There was something recently. I believe it was in Hong Kong. And like they were protesting something like some umao, and like some Hong Kong protesters like gave them all 50 cents, something like that. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty good troll. But yeah.
50 Hong Kong cents.
Take that. I can't remember if it was in Hong Kong or Australia, but it was one of those two. Because there was some protests in Australia, and lots of mainland students doing dastardly deeds, like tearing down those Lenin walls and stuff.
Bastards.
You hate to see it.
The Lenin walls.
Those things are pretty cool, and like it's a good form of protest. Besides creating like a lot of debris, but I guess you could. It's all recyclable. But like I heard Hong Kong activists like explaining why they're good forms of protest, basically because like you could tear it down, but they can put it back up in a matter of seconds.
Exactly.
It's all personalized stuff. It's good. Stuff is inspiring. So they got people protesting in favor of Hong Kong and in Taiwan now too, which is good. Waking the people up.
Yep.
All right, we got anything else to talk about?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I can't really think. Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah, your favorite
was murdered in jail, definitively.
Definitively?
I'm just kidding. It definitely could have been a suicide, but there's already stuff coming out that shows like there was like understaffing, and also they put people who were like all on like doing extra shifts, like working overtime, some of them forced overtime, and apparently it just came out that like the guards fell asleep. They were supposed to be checking on him like every 30 minutes, and they were only checking on him like every couple hours.
Yeah, but that shows a prison problem. That doesn't. To me, that's not
true.
necessarily evidence that.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying that this is like definitely like some conspiratorial thing that they were doing on purpose, but that it definitely shows that they were not handling the case with the gravity of the actual situation. And it could. I'm on the fence about whether I believe that someone had him killed or let him kill himself, or if it was just oversight on the part of the prison itself. But it looks really bad, man, and it's really frustrating because he could have, not that he necessarily would have, but could have brought down a lot of very powerful people. And he was a real bad guy, so I'm not super sad that he's
bad guy.
Not part of this earth anymore, but I am sad that he didn't spill the beans on all these powerful people.
Hey, but he didn't have a fair trial in his defense.
What do you mean?
He never got a trial, did he? Did he get convicted?
He got convicted previously. And got a sweetheart deal where he basically was only in prison for 8 hours a day.
Oh, well, that's not cool.
No, it was everyone should go look into the Epstein stuff. You have to be careful not to go down a super conspiratorial rabbit hole, but it looks really, really bad. Really bad. And who was it? Who tried his case? Was it Dershowitz?
The Dersh.
Whoever tried his case, like, basically cut a deal without the consent of the victims, which they're not supposed to do. And there's a lot of things going around that like he was maybe like an asset for some high level government agencies, and
what?
Maybe a Mossad agent or
doing what? Banking 14-year-olds? Why would Mossad or the CIA want him to bank 14-year-olds?
Well, because what the theory is that he was basically getting dirt on these high level people, and to what degree or not he was actually even connected to all this is debatable. But he like apparently had tapes of like people performing sex acts with underage people, sexually assaulting.
If that's true, where are the tapes?
Underage girls.
Where are the tapes?
There was a lot of stuff that was apparently destroyed too.
By who?
And now it's who knows. Probably by himself. I mean, there's like photos of them destroying evidence on the. They don't know if it was destroying evidence, but there was something going around that there was a fire, and then there's like pictures of them with like a giant shredder, a document shredder and stuff. So it's all a lot of it is speculation right now.
I feel like
so
he could
we
have
don't
used that to
know.
buy himself a get out of jail free card almost.
And that's why a lot of people think that he got knocked
Well,
off.
that means that the
'Cause
tapes are somewhere.
Maybe, unless they got destroyed, you know. So that's the thing. That's why it's very hard to tell right now. But it looks not good. It's not a good situation any way you slice it. Even if he was just, a pedophile. But it also looks a little suspicious because there are former prisoners from that prison that said basically there's no way to hang yourself in that prison.
I wouldn't ask a prisoner anything though.
Take it with a grain of salt, but it's just all these things piling on each other that
salt.
looks really, really dubious.
I'm not sure.
I'm reserving judgment because there's no way to know, but it will be interesting to see how this continues to play out. What kind of evidence we actually get to see, and how much of it they just everything just gets swept under the rug. I don't know, but there's allegedly a lot of people that probably should be going to jail for life that now maybe will not have to face any consequences. So
Allegedly,
and not even alleged by me, alleged by other people. I'm just, repeating their allegations.
interesting.
So it's something for everyone to take a nice afternoon and read for 10 hours and then end up being the next Alex Jones.
Oh, that would be fun. This little. By the way,
What's up?
maybe we shouldn't talk about this on FreeChinaPost.
Okay, we can talk about it off air. You have anything else to talk about? If not, we can probably wrap it up. We've been going for over an hour here.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll wrap it up there then.
Anything in the news? Shit, man. What's happening
There's
right now?
a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff I've been paying attention to is
Hong Kong.
presidential politics in Hong Kong, presidential politics in the U.S. and Taiwan and Hong Kong.
Yeah, true that.
So those are the big things going on right now. I mean, there's always a lot of big things going on everywhere.
There was that new polling data recently.
From in Taiwan or in U.S.?
In Taiwan, the Democratic stuff.
Yeah.
That's about all. All right, man.
All right, we wrap it up there. Don't forget to do all the social media stuff, so everybody.
You sound so
follow us
tired.
on- I'm tired. I think both of us didn't sleep.
social media stuff, guys.
Yeah, it's just like go and no, but go and do all the stuffs. Like, share, subscribe, give us always share. You got to share more. You got to share with your buds, so we can grow this bad boy.
I've shared so much that like nobody even likes my Facebook posts anymore. I'm basically just ignored.
I gotta say, Facebook is the worst way to share stuff.
Facebook is good for Taiwanese, like the Chinese-speaking Taiwanese audience uses Facebook. Period.
It's true, but what I'm saying is the algorithms are set up so poorly that it's really hard to get people to interact with them. A lot of people just don't see it.
Well, we just need to get more audience, man. You got to help me with my meme
true.
making.
It's true. I'll do my best.
I should download Photoshop for my laptop, and then I can make more memes because I can take it on the go everywhere.
Yeah, we gotta work on the memes. But if anyone has any things that you think we are not talking about, you want to hear us talk about, if you message us on the social medias, we could probably do that. Hopefully gonna have a few guests on. One of Abby's students, former Hangul supporter, now is a turncoat. We might talk to him. We might talk to him soon. I might do.
I know a shitload of people who voted for Hangul and now regret it.
Those would be good people to talk to. We got to do some Mandarin language stuff too.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Get these Taiwanese people to understand what a podcast is. So a lot of them don't know.
I just say Guangbo.
Okay. Because I've seen 播客 as a translation too, but
really?
they're just not. There's no good translation. I've never heard like someone be like, "Oh, podcast, yeah, this is how you say it in Chinese." So, I think 播客 is just a phonetic translation. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna revolutionize the podcasting world in Taiwan, though, so it's all right.
All right, man.
All right. Well, we love y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye now.